Hello, programmers. So I hope you have completed the first project, and now let's move on to the second one, which is rock, paper, scissors. So I hope I can safely skip the introduction because everyone of us knows what is a rock, paper, scissors. So in this introduction, I will just show you this program of how the result, the output of the project. So you can see initially we are prompted to make a, now let me just tell you that this is the game between user and the computer. So it's not a multiplayer game. It's not that people can play it. Instead, it is between you and your computer, right? So you can see this here. It first asks you to make your move. So first move belongs to the user. So again, note that 0, 1, and 2 represents rock, papers, and scissors respectively in that order. So make your move. So I choose 1, so it represents paper. And then computer randomly picks between 0, 1, and 2. So for this turn, it picked 0, which means rock. So my choice was paper, and the computer's choice was rock. So naturally, I win. Similarly, we keep on playing until one either me or the computer collects some given amount of points. So 1 point for each win, and once that threshold of points is reached by either the user or the computer, the winner is declared and the game ends. So that's it. That's the a simple thing. Now you can have a look at the code. We have a few functions here, and again you can see we have this random module here. And why did I chose this project? Because every one of us have played rock, paper, scissors, so it's really simple to build the logic, because already you have already worked on your first project. So this is the second project, and uh, it is I wanted to choose a topic that you are really familiar with. So rock, paper, scissors is something that everyone is very, very familiar with. So that's why I think this is a good topic. If you want, you can stop the video right now, try to work on this entire project by yourself, and then come back and see how I have worked on this project. And you can also modify the project by somehow just be creative. So I think that's a good intro. And in the next video we will start working on the project. We will see all of the functions, how and then how all of it fits together in the main in the main game. Okay, so thanks a lot, and I hope to see you in the next one. Hello, programmers. So far I just told you, given you the introduction to this particular project. So in this particular section, I will walk you through the all the different methods. So what is the purpose of each of the methods, what it takes in as arguments, and what it returns, and the logic that each of these methods use. And then in the next section we will see how all these different methods come together to form to complete the project and uh, result into this game of rock, paper, scissors. So let me just connect this before we can start. Again, you can observe that we only have the random module here, and I hope you have already guessed why do we need it. If not, it's still fine. Okay, we are connected here, you can see. So let me execute this cell. So we have imported the random module. Now let us move to the first method, which is the method move. So the function returns a random value in the range 0 comma 2, and basically It is just the computer. This is the method that helps the computer to make a move. So right. So while you first select one of the one choice from the three options, either 0 or 1 or 2, it's then computer's turn to make one of the choices. And so this method move actually represents the move of the computer. And how does it make that move? So really simple, and I think you already have guessed it because we had something very similar in the previous project as well. So we have this random dot rand int, which is nothing but this, as you can see, it randomly gives one integer value from the specified range, which is here 0 comma 2, both included. So it will give either 0 or 1 or 2 randomly, and that's what we actually want. So once we get this choice here, we can just return that. So then definitely we have got the move of the computer, and we can proceed ahead. Now what does this def validate do? So actually validate method decides the winner in a particular round. So it has to check the various possibilities, and it will let us know that who has actually won. It won't upgrade the scores. It will just validate if who has won, if or if it is the same move as it normally happens and no one has won. Or so it just basically think we can just think of it as a judge. So let me walk you through the parameters. So user move and the computer move are the two parameters that it takes, because it requires these two moves to validate who is the winner in the particular round. So you again, both of these are integer values in the range 0 to 2. Again, it returns 0 if the computer wins. It returns 1 if the user wins. It returns none if it's a draw. So if say you and the computer both choose the same action, stone for example. I mean rock paper scissors. So rock for example, uh, then it will just return none because you both of you have the same move and no one is actually one. And it returns -1 in case of an invalid move. So actually there is no possibility of any other move, but for suppose if something goes wrong, so in the case of this possible invalid move, it just returns -1, right? So let us just come to the possible conditions. Again, you can see it just consists of simple conditional statements. So if user move and the computer move are the same, it's definitely a draw. So and it prints it here that the moves are the same and it's a draw, and it will return none and the function is executed. Now if for suppose this condition is not met and the user and the computer have different moves, then we have to check for the two conditions, if the computer has one or if the user has one. So here all these conditions just represent uh, the scenario in which the computer will win. And I don't think I need to explain for that. You can very well understand it. Uh, so you can see if user move is equal to 0 and computer move equal to 1. So in this case, the user has chosen rock and the computer has chosen paper. And so if that is the case, definitely the computer will win. So similarly, these are the other cases where the computer can win. And if that is the scenario, it will print computer's move. So the user should also know the move that computer took and it led to the win of the computer. So it lets the user know the move of the computer, and then it prints that the computer has won, and it returns 0, and the function is executed. Now, for suppose it is not a draw, it's and the computer has not won either, then the next possibility is that the user has won. And to very similar to the previous section here, this elif statement will check for all the conditions when a user will win. So, and if the user has won, it will again let the user know what was the move of the computer that let him to win, let the user to win, and it will congratulate the user, and it will declare that the user has won that particular round, and it will return one, and the function will be executed. And in case of a possible invalid move, it will print simply print invalid move, and it will return -1. And that's it for the validate method. Now let us move to the third method that we will use, which is the result method. So the function updates the score of the user in the computer. So after the validate method has successfully determined the result of one round, then we need to update the scores, because after one of the either computer or the user reaches a particular threshold, we will declare at the end of the game, and then the user can restart the game, right? So you can just have a look on the parameters. This is the flag, and why is it used, and what it's just the integer value indicating the result of a round. And we will have we will have the greater understanding of the use of this flag in the next section. So as of now, it's okay if you don't understand it. And then a user score and the computer score are really simple. They are the initial scores. So maybe if it's the very first round, the user score and the computer score would be definitely be 0 0, right? And if they have played up multiple rounds, the scores will change accordingly. So, and these are the the two arguments that the result function would demand for. And then it returns the scoreboard, which is nothing but a list, and it is the updated list of the user score as well as the computer score. Now let us have a look at this function, the logic that the function uses. So if we come here, we first of all we declare this list, which is nothing but a simple list of integer values, which are nothing but the user score and the computer score. Then if this flag is none, we return the scoreboard. Because remember, flag will be none in the case where the user and the computer have the same move, right? So in that case, we cannot update. We don't need to update the scores of either of that of the user or of the computer. And if that's not the case, we move on to the second condition, second possible condition, that is elif flag. So remember, one of the possible condition is value for the flag variable is 1, and 1 represents true. So if the value of flag is 1, we get scoreboard of 0 plus equal to 1. So remember, the validate returns 1 whenever the user wins, right? So if the user has won, we will update the value of the user by 1. And I have already told you what this means in the previous project. It just increments the value by 1, and it returns the scoreboard and the function is executed. But for suppose if this condition is not met, we move on to the third condition, elif not flag. So here, remember, if the computer wins, the validate method returns the value 0. So also 0 actually indicates false. So, and if we just keep flag here, it will just mean it will not execute this statement. So to be able to execute these statements, we keep not here, which is nothing but a sort of negation. So this false actually turns to true when combined with not, because the negation of false is true. So this overall condition becomes true, and then we just update the score of the computer and we return the scoreboard and the function is executed. So, and other point is, if you don't want to do this, you can just keep one else condition. Even I think that would do. uh, so yeah, so that's it for the result method. And if we come to the final method, we have this scorekeeper here. So this function checks if any of the player gets to a total of 3 points. So you can set it if you want this threshold of 3 to be more, you can just keep it, say, for example, 5. You can also take a user input for the same. So if you want the user to decide the threshold, even I think that would be fine. And if now, if any of the winner, actually, if any of the player reaches the threshold, it declares the winner or and ends the game. Otherwise, if it will just keep, it will make the program go further and lets the players play further. So again, for the, as parameters, we have the computer score and the user score, which are nothing but integer values. And if it returns 0 if any of the player wins, else 1. So, and again we will see why this 0 and 1 in the next section, where we will see the complete logic of the game. So again here we check if the user score is 3, then we print the user has 1 and we will return 0 here. And again we will check if the computer score is 3, and if that is the case, we will just print the statement the computer wins the game, and again we will return 0, or else we will return 1. So if none of the players have won so far, we will just return 1. uh, and I think that's it. So these are the 4 methods. So the method move actually represents the move of the computer. The method validate decides if who which player has actually won a particular round. The def the method the result method uh, just updates the score of the winner, if any. And the scorekeeper checks if the any of the player has reached the threshold, and if so, it will declare the winner and end the game. So that's it. And in the next section, we will look at the at this block, and we will see how all of these methods come together and complete our logic for this particular project. Thanks a lot. Hello, programmers. So, in the previous section, we had a look at all the methods, and we saw what was the task of each of those methods, and how it performed its particular task. And in this section, we will have a look at how all of those methods come together to complete our project. And let's dive in. So initially, we will just declare the computer score and the user score as 0, because at the beginning of the game, both the scores are 0. Then we will define and declare another variable, a flag, and initialize it to the value of 1. Remember that 1 corresponds to true, and if you don't believe me, you can have a look here. You can see 1 equal to true. Yes, it's true. And if I just do this, you can see it's false, right? So while 1 means that the while true. So while true here will allow the Python to get into this block, right? Into this block, and execute all of these statements that fall under the while loop. So all this entire highlighted section falls under the while loop. So only if and only if the condition at the while loop is true, these statements will be executed. So if the condition is while becomes false, it will not be all these statements will not be executed. So that's one point that I think you need to remember. So as of now, the flag is 1 and 1 represents true. So while true, so the condition is true, and we will enter the while loop. So you can see we will ask for a user input, which is nothing but an integer. So make your move. So it's either 0 or 1 or 2, right? And then we will call the method move, and you can see this is the function returns a random value in the range 0 comma 2. Sorry, and 0 indicates rock, 1 indicates paper, 2 indicates scissors, and takes no arguments, and it returns a random integer value in the range 0 comma 2. So this is nothing but the computer making its move by randomly selecting one integer value in this range of 0 comma 2, right? Now the computer has made its move, and its move is stored in this computer move. Now we will validate the user and computer move. So validate here takes in both of the moves, which are nothing but integer values in the range 0 comma 2. So you can see again 0 indicates rock, 1 indicates paper, and 2 indicates scissors. The function validates the winner between user and computer. So it will take the user move and the computer move, and then it will return 0 if computer wins. It will return 1 if the user wins, and it will return none if it's a draw, and it will return -1 in the case of any invalid move. Now let us check this condition step by step. So let us assume that the computer has won and it returns 0, right? So let me just keep here that well result is 0. We are checking for the first condition. So if well result equal to -1, so this condition is definitely true, is not true as of now, so we can safely ignore it. We will come back here and we will call the result method. Now we will pass on this validation result, this user move, user score, sorry, and the computer score. to the method result, which actually is responsible for updating the score of the players. And I noticed that this takes in three values. So user score and computer score, and the first one is actually flag. So it returns scoreboard, and which is nothing but the list of updated, which is nothing but the list of updated user score and computer score. So we get here the computer score and user score with their updated values. Again, we now call this scorekeeper, which actually decides if the game is over or not. So it returns 0 if any of the player wins, or else it returns 1. Then it means that if any of the player wins, my flag will take on the value 0, and when the Python goes back here after executing these statements once, it will come back here, and since the flag is now 0, it will not execute any of the statements, and it will mark the end of the game, right? On the other hand, if it returns 1, that just means that the game is not yet over, and which will again result into the condition here as while true, and the block here will be kept on executing, right? So that's the simple logic. Now remember, our validation result is 0, so it just helps us to you know uh, give it to the result method and decide who has actually won, and update the scores of the players correspondingly. Now that's the only function of this validation result. And as we know, this variable can take various values. So if it takes 0 or 1 or none, it's all simple. It's just for the result method to understand who has won, or if it's a draw, or if any of the players has won, and it will update the score accordingly. So if it's any of the first three conditions, it's all fine and good. It is just for the result method. But if it's the -1, and if it's an invalid move, then if validation equal to -1, the validation result will be actually none. And remember that for this condition, we will also print the invalid move. So the user will come to know that the move was invalid. And again, because this result is none, so the result method will consider that it is a draw actually, and it will not update the scores of any of the players, right? So, and that's it. Congratulations, you have completed the project number 2. And let me just execute this block of code. It's asking me to make a move, and I will say rock, so which is 0, 1. Computer has 1. Uh, Let me go with paper this time. Okay, so I win it this time. And then I will say 2, which is scissors. Computer has 1. I will again go with 2. Moves are same, it's a draw. And I will say this time it will be paper. So I have 1. So at this moment, computer has won twice, and I have won twice. So now the one who wins will win the game. So I will go with 1. And yeah, I have win. I have completed 3 points and I have won the game. So I hope this project helped you. And if you are not a beginner, you can increase the complexity level of this game. Maybe bring in some GUI elements, make it a more of user-friendly game. Uh, get in some buttons, get in a text label for displaying the score. See what you can do. Be creative, and I hope to see you in the next project, the Tic Tac Toe project, which is another game, and it will be more exciting than this one. I assure you about that. So thank you for being together for so long, and I will see you in the next one.